And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb and Friends here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Glad you guys found us here on Amazon. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see it here in this corner or down below. We're excited about today's guest, and we are simulcasting our broadcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. I'm joined by my co-host today, Tanya White, as well as Dr. Teresa A. Smith or Dr. Taz. Ladies, hello to you. Glad you could be with us. And our special guest today is actor Brett Culbert. We're excited to be able to welcome Brett to our broadcast to talk to us about his year, his journey in acting, and also maybe, just maybe, what you guys can expect from him next. If you guys are not following Brett, we will let you guys know how to be able to stay connected with him to keep up with all the updates. But thanks to all of you for being on with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cyrus.
Thank you very much.
Well, look, it's my pleasure. Brett, I'm going to get things kicked off before I turn it over to our co-host. I was just saying to you before we went live here, we don't script the show, of course, but one of the things I've been curious about is we're wrapping up now a month and almost a year is the reflections. I want to begin with you. I know from following your journey online, you and I connected on social. We'll talk more about that. What has it been like for you to reflect on the year that's been 2024 for you?
2024, it's been a blessed year. Obviously, as most people do know, there was a strike in the industry. So that unfortunately, a lot of people lost jobs. They've been waiting for work. But every now and then, a few things come out of the crack. And I've had blessed to have the privilege to be able to audition for a few movies and to have some luck. But overall, it's been a wonderful year for my wife and I. We have grown closer as we do every year. And also this year, we got this little guy right here, and he's a giant ball of joy and love. So other than that, it has been an exciting year, and I'm very excited to see what happens in the future. But I also want to again say that there has been a strike, and so this industry does need help right now. So that's very important.
Yeah. And we're going to talk more about when we come back together, Brett, how one thing I appreciate, the reason why I reached out to you actually is because how you use your platform, yes, to keep us posted on what's happening, but also to be able to shine a light on causes and things that matter to you. We're going to talk more about that. Before we get into that, though, I'm going to turn it over to Tanya. Tanya, Brett's all yours.
Hi, Brett. How you doing?
Hello. I'm well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm a dog lover. My beloved darling May passed last year. So I love your reels and social media with your dog, Reese.
I'm so sorry about your dog.
I know. And they are a big ball of love. But I want to talk about how important social media is and how it plays a huge part in bringing awareness, not to only what you do in the industry, but the causes you are that you are passionate about. So explain to our audience why being active on social media, because there's still tons of people say, I don't do social media, but explain to us why it's so important, especially important to you to be active and be, show us and share a little bit of who you are as opposed to just what you do.
Yeah, I would say in the past, actors, there's a tendency to be a little bit secretive, and there's an illusion behind who you are.
Yeah.
And while that's fun, we are at a turning point, in my opinion, where we need to kind of let's take the blankets and let's bring them up and let's see why do we care about actors? Who are they? What are they for? Is it an ego-driven thing? Is it just about that? Or are there actors such as, there are, personally, I love to try to exude empathy using the platform and showcasing other forms of empathy to highlight that there are good people out there. And that's how I like to utilize it, to show not what I'm doing, but who I am, and to also highlight those that I feel are empathetic to the world as well. Because that is one of the biggest keys in being an actor is empathy. And so that's how I like to utilize it personally. So, yeah.
Absolutely. The same way I utilize mine. People say, oh, you share a lot, but I share a lot of who I am because what I do is who I am. And I love the way you put it, highlighting that there are good people in the world. There is empathetic people in the world. And then when you share your little cute dog, there are dog lovers.
No, where are you, buddy? I'm sorry. Come here, Bubba.
So I love that. So next question. I love the Brown Couch Creatives is another project that you're involved in.
Yes.
That you share about. just from the promos, it reminds me, and I'm dating myself, the Growlings improv group.
Yeah.
So I love that. So tell the audience what the Brown Couch
Yeah,
creates.
so Brown Couch Creatives is just a group of people that came together specifically during the strikes, like I said, and it was creatives that again us actors and us artists we don't just drive to LA or drive to New York to go make a bunch of money and be famous.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of us that do this, we have to do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, if you build houses, you have to build houses. If you whatever your job is that you feel a calling to, you have to do it daily. And so while there was a strike, Brown Couch Creatives, we created a theater group, and one of the first productions that we put on was a show against AI. And so it was 10 different short films showcasing human connection and why it's so important to have real people doing their job as opposed to fake people. And we're supposed to feel something for robots or artificial intelligence. And in my opinion, we don't show connection.
Yeah.
And one thing that I am very terrified of is as the AI becomes more and more, I'm terrified that human connection will start to degrade. And I am on this planet for human connection. That's what, in my opinion, what this whole thing is all about. So you and I can meet, we can converse, all of us can learn who each other's are. Because in my world, we're all the same person. We're just sharing the world together. You know, that's what it is. So let's speak it. Let's do it. And so Brown Couch Creatives was all about, this is who we are. We have to do this.
Awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Taz.
Awesome.
Thank you. Brett, just to switch it up a little bit, you've been involved in some high-profile projects like Rebel Moon. Mm-hmm. How has this helped your career?
It depends on the way you want to look at it. You know, with any high-profile film, TV show, you obviously get more eyes on you, but with more eyes comes more decision making. You know, more money, more problems, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's a blessing, but it also, a lot of people are afraid of success. And so when you start to be a little bit successful, you have to analyze it a little differently, prepare yourself for different situations. So, you know, it's wonderful that you get more eyes, but you also, it's a business. And so you have to approach it as a business. And so ups and downs as you go. It isn't, hey, here's some great projects and the world is great. You have to figure out your way to maneuver in the industry as you continue to do so. It's always, I don't want to say it's an uphill battle, but it is a journey. And so what I've learned is to fall in love with the journey and not the outcome. You can't be waking up every day thinking about the outcome. What is wonderful about today during that journey? And you have to figure out those things. So while those are high profile, it also is just a Wednesday. And so that's kind of how I've taught myself into thinking that today is a Wednesday. There's nothing else going on, really. Today's a Wednesday, tomorrow's a Thursday, and just day by day, and not get involved in all the hoopla, if you will.
Well, you know, I thank you for sharing that, Brett, because you said a whole lot. You know, first of all, it is a business, and whether your occupation is in the movie industry, it's still a business, and it is a journey. And what I'm hearing from you, because you talked about empathy with my colleague, is that you try to stay grounded so that you are fully present each day in what is occurring around you and what could potentially be occurring within you. And so that is so important for the audience to understand. But you also said more money, more problems. Now I'm gonna slide over to the left or right, depending upon how you're looking at me.
Right.
Music seems to play a big part in your life. You know, you have an eclectic taste. Hopefully my research is correct, from rap to classic. How do these different types of music inspire or affect your acting?
All right. So, you know, I do come across individuals that are, hey, I only listen to country, or hey, I only listen to rap, and I'm not gonna whatever. I'm not gonna. So for me, I love feeling. So now, does that mean feeling good, feeling bad, feeling this, feeling that? It doesn't, I don't pinpoint my feeling. But if I wake up and my wife will walk in on me listening to some gangster rap, and sometimes she'll walk in on me listening to opera. It's where my mood is that day, and I don't control that. That's the spirit or whatever is inside. I don't have a perfect title for it, but whatever is inside of me that day, that's what I want to listen to. I do kind of have it programmed. Like when I go to the gym daily, that's usually going to be some rap. It's gonna momentum. But if there's anxiety encroaching, Alanis Morissette's gonna come on in. I mean, or if I'm feeling artistic, I'll go Phantom of the Opera. It's just, I only do this. You can't learn that way.
No.
And so for me, this whole life is about learning. So I'm going to listen to all the artists. I'm going to know what, Lil Wayne is one of my go-tos. It's just, I have Drake. There's just go-tos that during my day, if I don't get a little piece of that, because they're people, right? Right? Like we're talking about people. We say it's music, but behind the music is a person. And there are certain people, there are certain musicians that I identify with, and I can figure out what kind of way that they lean. And some days I want to lean that way too, So I don't know if that makes any sense, but.
Oh, well, Brett, let me tell you, you're talking to a music lover, and I like all genres of music. But my mother always said that the lyrics had to say something, and then you drill into the beat and all of that. And so I just love all music, but I have to tell you, I got to see if I can say it the correct way. Lil Wayne. That's usually because I like Lil Wayne, and my sister knows that there's just 2 songs that I really know that I like by Lil Wayne.
It's funny. If you don't know them, there can be some songs that you go, that's a little off-putting. But then if you do your research and you go, okay, so he's a businessman. Where did he come from? Where did it start? Who is he now after all this? And he is always the same person. And so I find that very appealing, that despite the success, despite the money, despite everything, he still sticks to the foundation of who he is. And that's why he's successful.
Absolutely.
At least that's what I think.
And it goes back to the empathy and that we are real people. And that's what your focus is. And I tell you, Brett, this has been a wonderful time speaking with you. But I'm going to have to throw it over to Cyrus. We'll have to
time.
It's
been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taz. Appreciate that. And we thank all of you for being with us. See you guys coming in over on the Amazon Live side. Welcome to you. Again, if you guys are new to us, make sure you guys hit that follow button. We have programming here 6 days a week here on Amazon. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below, depending on what your device is. You're watching Cyrus Webb and Friends today. Brett Culbert is our guest today. He's an actor, has been able to do what he's loved. I'm joined by my co-host today, Tanya White, and you just saw there Teresa Smith as well. I want to give some quick shout outs here, Brett, before we get into our part. Hello to you, Kenneth. I see you over there on Facebook. Thank you so much for being with us. Dr. Velma joining us on the West Coast. Hello to you. Kate, hello to you. Joining us over there on the East Coast. Appreciate you. On IG, we have Bobby Green. Hello to you. Wahida Clark. Hello to you. New York Times bestselling author. I see you over there on IG. Philip Thompson, writer. Hello to you. Shonda Trent. Hello to you on IG. Big G Troop. Hello to you. Mitch C. Davis, a fellow Mississippian, here with us as well. Brett, a few things you talked about with my co-host I wanted to go back to because it kind of goes into what I appreciated about you when you and I first connected. And that is the appreciation you have for life and what you're able to do in your life. And it comes through in the posts that you make, but also in your work. Where do you think that appreciation comes from?
I think it's twofold. Everybody goes through hard times in life. I've been through a few. And so once you go through hard times, you learn to appreciate everything. And also I have the best wife. There's really, that's a really plain, I know what I said, but she on the daily shows me light. And I pray for grace from God, and Catherine, my wife, always shows it to me. And so when you pay attention to that kind of stuff, you start to appreciate life a lot better. It's the little things in life. It really is. It really.
And you talk about that. Both one of the things you and I both have in common is we love sharing positive affirmations. That's one of the things, of course, that I connected with you as well. Dr. Vanderman has a very important question, so I want to get to that before I go to my next question. Did I miss the dog's name? So, Brad, let them know the dog's name.
Very important question. Yes, this is Reese. His name is Reese. So, do you mind if I explain how he got the name?
Go ahead.
Is that okay? Yeah. So, as I said, our wonderful dog, Lou, who was 12, he passed away. And then a few months went by after that. And my wife went online and found a doggie. And she pointed at the doggie online and went, I think this is the dog. And so we went to this house that was breeding Bostons. And we walked in and there was over 20 dogs in there. And that same exact dog, the same one she pointed at, ran to her the moment we went in there and hugged her leg. And so there was no discussing. It was, we'll take this one. And so we went, and then we went, what are we going to name him? We're in the back seat on the way home, and he vomited. And I went, well, he looks like peanut butter after he vomited. And I went, well, how about Reese? And she goes, that's perfect. So from that day, he's been Reese.
Wow. I tell you. The gift that just keeps on giving. I love it.
He's wonderful. He's wonderful. We love you, baby.
Your passion, and I think it was Taz that was talking to you about, what you've been able to do, the roles you've been able to do. Your passion, though, started even going back to theater. What was it about acting when you first started in theater that made you know this was something you wanted to pursue and give the best of yourself to?
So when I did the play Arsenic and Old Lace in high school, I was a freshman, and I played Officer O'Hara, and he just has a few lines, but he has a little monologue. And there was a moment that struck me one night like lightning. And I to this day, I don't know where it came from, but I knew that there was nothing more that I loved doing at that moment than performing and telling other people's stories. Because remember, every story starts with a human being that sat down either on a typewriter, computer, or had a pencil. That's a person. That's their thoughts. That's their empathy. That's everything inside of them. And then I realized, wait, I get the opportunity to live in that and then express it through me and the way that I interpret it. And so interpreting other people's feelings, fears, thoughts, loves, all of that, you get to see inside of another person and then express it. That was my home, and I that's why I do it. I get to tell stories, other people's stories. So it's a unique field, but it is what I have to do, and it makes me happy. Yeah, it's really that simple.
Yeah, I think in your industry, and I think maybe for most people in the creative community, Brett, I think a piece of yourself stays connected with each project, right? I know for myself, I believe that. What has been for you one of those moments that has stayed with you throughout your career after you wrapped up a role?
It's the moment after is always the feeling of I don't want this to end. That will never go away. But I think for me, a lot of it is the moment before. Every time I go on stage or go on a set or right before I have to do a scene, there's nothing like the butterflies, the pressure, the feeling of importance, everything. Every time I do something, I feel like I try to put a level of importance on it. I make it a little bit bigger than life. And so that way people can feel it. So I think just the level of importance of everything, it's a slight addiction, if you will, putting power on things, putting feeling on things, that'll never go away from me as long as I exist. You know what I mean? Like for me, but after each thing I do, it's always a catch-22. It's, I'm glad this is over with. I get to go back and see my wife, but at the same time, it's, oh, I really loved that world. That was so much fun because it's fun. You know what I mean? It's getting, I mean, you remember playing as a kid when you played around with your friends and you had to go home because dinner was ready. It's the same feeling. It's the, oh, I don't want to leave, but I'm kind of hungry. So yeah, hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. And it ties into something you're talking with Tanya. And I want to wrap up with this question with you, Brett, because again, for those who are not staying connected with you, and I should let our audience know on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you will find the link to Brett's Instagram. We're going to also have him share that for you guys who are on the other platforms. So it sounds like you've been able to do an interesting balancing act that I want to ask you about, and that is to be so passionate and take your gifts seriously without taking yourself so seriously. Because if people follow you on social, Brett, it's very obvious that you enjoy life, that you enjoy the fun of life, while you were just talking about the seriousness that you take your craft. What does it mean to find that balance? Because not everyone has that. Not everyone has found that.
Yeah.
What does it help you with that?
10,000 hours, baby. You know that, I'm talking 10,000 hours. Yeah. So once you cross the field of 10,000 hours, or you do something relentless, you show up to practice as much as you possibly can. You do it. You do all that for yourself, right? So you can do what you got to do. But once you cross that and you get that out of the way, now acting is not a field that you learn. You are always learning. But there does come a time where you realize, oh, okay, all right. So I'm in control of how much I get to learn. I'm in control of how much I work on this craft. Then once you realize that you are in control of that, then you can go, okay, well, as long as I remain in control of that, I can have fun too, right? I can be me, right? And so once you are comfortable that you go, okay, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. And once you let go of the fear of failing, because look, you're gonna fail at everything you do. If you don't fail, you don't learn. So as long as you are 100% okay with that, then you get to have fun, because you're gonna wake up tomorrow no matter what happens.
Yeah. Such a great point and such a great conversation. Moses Maddox, hello to you, joining us there from Columbus, Ohio. Again, everyone, Brett Culbert has been our guest today. We've been talking with him about the journey to doing what he loves, and we're going to also let you guys know how to stay connected with him. Brett, what I know you can't tell us everything, but is there something our audience should be on the lookout for, and how can they stay connected with you?
Well, there's a multitude of projects that are up in the works. I've been blessed and lucky to be. I'm attached to 2 films written by Kristen Van Slyke called The Gotaways and Curbside Service. I'm very excited to be leading those 2 films, but also I am going a different direction too that I haven't gone in my entire life. I have directed plays before, but upcoming I am directing my good friend Shadow LaValley. He is producing a short film called Good Boy. I can't tell you anything because it's kind of secretive. However, I'll be directing that. And then also I am producing and directing and starring in my own film called Haven that my writer, Nicholas Forrestal, he and I got together many, many moons ago and created this story. And that is my first creation that I'm very excited about. Both of those two. I'm excited about everything. I'm a little kid in the candy store. You're kind of figuring that out. I'm a kid in the candy store. So everything I'm doing, I'm really excited about. But I'm also excited to flex my creativity and see where that can go, because I realize that I love acting, but I love doing more too. And so just being creative at all the time. Because with acting, you don't get to act every single day. The moment between action and cut are sometimes far away from each other. So I like to fill in those blanks with being as creative as possible. So I'm always learning, because if I'm not learning, then I feel stagnant.
Yeah, well, a lot of great things for us to look forward to. Brett, thank you so much for stopping by Cyrus Webb and Friends here on Amazon Live. Let them know how to stay connected with you, Brett.
Yeah, I primarily use Instagram, and that's just at Brett.Culbert. And I believe it's just Brett Culbert on Twitter as well, or I'm sorry, X. And then, and those are the 2 main platforms that I utilize. So come say hi.
There you go. And we have him tagged over there on X as well. Tanya, Taz, great questions as always. Glad to have you all.
Thank you.
For our audience, thank you so much for joining us for Cyrus Webb and Friends. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you, guys.